Hello, my name is Bernhard Lang. I'm your host today. I'm co-founder of LeapGrade. I'm very happy to see so many people joining us today. So at the beginning, maybe some housekeeping rules. We have a chat. Please use the chat. Ask your questions, ask your comments, what you like, what you dislike. We're very happy to answer your questions at the end of the session. And yeah, we would like to have that interactive with you. And at the beginning, of course, we are very interested from where you are joining us today. So maybe just write in the comments where you're dialing from today, and let's see who is furthest away. I would like to welcome my guest today, Stefan Schöpfl. Stefan Schöpfl, CEO of the Value AI Institute, long-time veteran of SAP, 30 years with SAP, was a global vice president taking care of business AI go-to-market, spent many years at SAP with the Intelligent Enterprise Institute in the analytical space at SAP. So a perfect candidate today to talk about our topic. And our topic, we called it Beyond the Davos Hype. Davos, because Stefan and I met in Davos a couple of weeks ago in the context of the World Economic Forum. And Stefan was a host with the Value AI Institute. And he hosted a full day session all about AI and business AI. And we want to talk today about the real world AI challenges and their impact on SAP, especially as we are both deeply into SAP and spent many years of our professional career in the SAP space. So Stefan, welcome to our conversation today. Great that you found the time to have a chat with me. So the real business value, I think, is a huge topic. We listened to Satya Nadella during the World Economic Forum. How can we generate business value from AI? And maybe at the beginning, can you give us some insights? What is the business AI? How does it compare to Gen AI? So can you maybe fill us in the overall context? And then also, what is the challenge here on of the business AI adoption, and what can enterprises benefit from that?
Very happy to do so, Bernhard, and thanks a lot for inviting me for this session. And let's directly jump into the question business AI. So a lot of hype at the moment is, of course, on Gen AI and the Gen AI tools. And if you look at where their data comes from, it's mainly from web data, from Wikipedia, from Reddit and other data. But it's actually not using so much business data yet, company data yet. So if we speak about business AI and moving from hype to real business outcome, I guess one very important parameter first is to discuss how models can also be trained with business data from company. And also, what could we actually achieve with using more AI in a company context? And if you're very honest, I would say the AI journey in a company is right at the beginning. It's just starting. So we are moving from very few use cases now to a broader use of AI in the company. How would that be possible? And then, of course, this is founded on good data and good processes, but of course also on the trust that companies give to the model provider, to the software companies, to use their data for training models and for improving processes. So I would say, really, in terms of business AI, in terms of personal productivity, we are also very far. It's amazing what is happening here every week, and it's totally exciting time. But if you look at a real business use embedded in processes, embedded in companies, embedded in logistic chain across company, I think we are really just at the starting point. But that's also why I'm very glad a little bit later to hear more about your offer, because I understand this is actually one of the few real use cases where AI is used in a business context, and actually to a very large extent in the context of transformation. Now that we speak about transformation, maybe let me deep dive a little bit more into transformation and AI-based transformation on a conceptual level. And then I want to of course, better understand how you translate that into an offer and how far we are with AI there. But the way I understand it, in regards to using AI for transformation, company transformation, that's of course a very interesting use case, because company transformation is of course often done at the site. So that means it needs involvement of business users. They're already very busy. So this is extra work, long hours, and there's a lot of routine work involved. So if it's possible to use AI in the transformation context to offload routine work, that would of course be very, very good news. And there, of course, we are discussing the area where AI tools could help, for example, implementing a new software, accelerating the implementation of a new software. And that's one area, and I have some questions to you. But of course, I also want to highlight the other area of AI-driven or AI-supported transformation is that in a transformation, we not only want to take the old system and leave the process like the is, we want to re-engineer the process. And it's now with AI, it's not normal re-engineering. AI, if you want to use more AI embedded in process, this involves often heavy re-engineering of the process. So we also want to use more and more AI to help define a company better, the right strategy, help to use AI to differentiate the business model, come up with a new business model, but also help use AI to make the processes better and make it possible to actually embed AI in the improved processes. And I guess those are two areas that come together in a transformation project where AI could help. And of course, I would be very interested, Bernhard, on like your ideas and also where your offer is using AI and to what extent you can actually accelerate a transformation project and also offload a lot of this routine task, which nobody in the company actually wants to do. People want to focus on the creativity, on the creative part of a transformation.
Very interesting, Stefan, and I totally agree with you. I mean, these two dimensions, and I would like to hear your view on that as well. I mean, we both spend so much time in the SAP space, but I still feel the way how we implement SAP or how we transform from ECC to S4, I think there was not so much innovation over the years in that journey. Right now, I mean, there are many routine tasks, right? There are documentation tasks. You need a solid structure. You need the implementation methodology. But if I compare that to my early days when I started as a consultant and to nowadays, of course, there were improvements. There was more and more methodological support, but it's still somehow in the same way. So this first dimension, how can we improve the routine works? How can we accelerate the implementation project? Maybe to have a quick view from you on that. Do you see that there were many improvements so far? And do you see AI also in the context of a SAP implementation project? Because that's something where we spend quite a lot of time just the last months with LeapGrade. How can we make that more efficient? So how do you see that? Do you see there were already many innovations, or how big is the potential?
I see huge potential there, and I see huge potential using AI to accelerate SAP transformations, and therefore making it easier for SAP customers to move from an older release to the latest release and to the cloud. So I see huge potential in using AI, and of course, both to support the creative process that is required in deciding on what new business model should be supported, how to differentiate the business model, but also as just mentioned, Bernhard, with all the routine tasks, building all the documentation, building all the training videos, writing all the test cases. I would see huge potential.
Yes, and I think for the customers or customers who are currently ahead of such a SAP transformation, it's a multi-dimensional opportunity. Of course, it's a certain hurdle to move from a ECC environment towards S4 or maybe join SAP as a new customer. But to make that more efficient and be on the SAP cloud platforms, so either public cloud or private cloud environment, and then benefit from digital key technologies and benefit from AI once you are there. I think some customers were hesitating because it's quite an effort. It's quite an investment also to do such a transformation, but I think we can really add value and accelerate that journey from the old world in the new world, and not free up resources also that you better spend on the new world, on the new processes, on process improvements. Many customers also, I don't know, they have lots of custom builds, they have modifications, set code, how we call it in the SAP space. And there's a huge opportunity to get rid of that and somehow clean up your SAP environments and really use your resources on your future business. How can you make more business, and how not to spend your enterprise resources in the commodity space or in the routine task space. And I think that's something what I learned when we talked in Davos. This was an eye-opener for me. That's why I was so excited to talk to you today about that, because I really realized that we have something very special there. When we started with Leap Grades a little bit more than 2 years, so our vision was to accelerate SAP implementations, to make it more structured, to have a good documentation base, and to create a sort of a digital twin, to have a connection between the business model of the client and the application architecture of the client. And we developed something really strong. We called that the Leap Grade Hub. And this is exactly this digital twin of the business world, of your application world, in a very structured way. And things what we learned just recently is this is a perfect starting point for agentic AI and for business AI. Because also the AI agents, and I think you can talk more about that, the AI agent also needs a very solid fundament. So purely Gen AI with public information in the web is hallucinating and can't be as accurate as if the AI models can consume or are based on a very rock solid foundation. And we learned that with our Leap Grade Hub, we have such a foundation. And I brought some practical cases with me today, where I also wanted to show you and get your view on that, what's possible. So we have this Leap Grade Hub, and the Leap Grade Hub has a process definition. So a business user really access the system with a business view. He steps into his business process, and then he can connect directly to the application. And this is what was used for agentic AI scenarios. And the first example, what I wanted to show you, is a complete project dashboard. So when you have a new project, 150 processes in place, so we have our Leap Grade Hub, and you see already now we put this into our Leap Grade AI app, and we said, okay, the full process scope, please generate a dashboard. So this is not coding. This is really a dashboard. So this project has 521 processes. It has 35 RISEFs. It has some defects. So you have a complete transparency about your project. You see what processes are currently in refinement, what processes are currently in test, and you immediately get a complete visibility about your project. And later on, so you can see this overview, all your processes, what's the state of the process, and the complete dashboard allows you to control your complete project. Every single process, zero coding for this dashboard. This was done within 2 minutes. And then somehow this is the base, how you access your project, how you have the complete overview. And I immediately want to show you a second one, because in this example, we had 520 processes. This is an example how the Leap Grade Hub looks like. In this case, it's a sell from stock example. You see the swim lanes and you see this process chain. And now we want to validate that process. So we have 14 rules implemented in that AI agent, 14 rules how to check that process. So the system, the scope is defined. Okay, this is my complete project. Then I say I want to validate that sell from stock process. And then the system is running all these checks according to the 14 validation rules. And as again, I made a fast forward. The system takes approximately a minute for that. And now I see the results. So I see 8 were going through. We had 1 warning in there. The warning is also displayed. So in this case, there was a discrepancy between the swim lanes and the process definition. And then we see down there additional checks. We can also correct the process in there. So this type of work, if you do that manually, it's approximately 2 hours of work. You run through that, you correct it. In this case, it's done with the AI agent. And that's maybe one of the examples what you said with this routine works. Yeah, so nobody wants to do that, but it's necessary to have a good fundament. So 2 hours, what the AI agent can do if you have it based on our LeapGrade fundament. And then, of course, it's quite logical if you have validated processes and you can automatically correct these processes. That's also a starting point for test case automations. So that's the next thing. Again, AI generated the sell from stock case. So we have data for that specific scenario. We have organizational data, we have transactional data, we have master data. So we select the process. Again, this sell from stock. So this process was validated in the process before. Now we say we want a complete test case, the complete process, or we can also test a single activity. So we select, okay, to sell from stock. We know it's already validated from the other AI agent. And with this, we generate a complete test case that's executable. So we play it back into our LeapGrade hub. And this is a test case that you can execute in a test automation system or also directly in the application. So you see that's again the LeapGrade hub where you see the result of this test agent. And again, if I say routine task, test managers creating a new test case, couple of hours time, all the time you have refinements, changes to the process. You have to develop it again. You have to make the adjustments. Here it's a matter of 2 minutes. I had this fast forward in the presentation, but it's a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, and then the test case is executable. It's also possible to keep track. I mean, this overall dashboard, what you've seen at the beginning, you can also say, okay, where were changes in the processes? And just pick up the processes with changes, generate or first validate the processes if they're consistent, and then generate test cases with that and push them to a Jira, to a Tricentis, whatever test management tool you're using. And yeah, again, it's a couple of hours. And overall, if I add all these improvements, we believe we can reduce the effort for our implementation project significantly. So we believe compared to a classical way, and this was my question at the beginning, yeah, if you compare how was ERP implemented 20 years ago towards today, so from this traditional implementation methodology, I believe that we have already efficiency improvements in the area of 30% plus. And it's so fantastic because there are new agents coming every week and there are new ideas. Yeah, for instance, we just tried out for this complete project scope to generate a RFP. So every client knows how difficult it is and what kind of project it is to generate a RFP, issue it to the market, make the evaluation criteria, the qualification criteria of the vendors. With this system, we can generate the RFP automatically. And so we believe this is really something that can improve the transformation work significantly and free up resources of the clients from the transformation towards value generating activities, what you mentioned at the beginning, talking about target processes, talking about process improvements.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a fantastic case of business AI. I think it's a fantastic use case of business AI that is already available today. And I can guarantee that, you know, the times when we had to write the documentation or when you had to write the RFP, this is not creative work. This is really work that nobody wants to do. So if AI can be involved in that area to auto-generate documentations or RFPs or trainings, and also when there are changes, and there are always changes in projects, then also bring those changes to all the documents that are related in an automatic fashion. I think this is really work that nobody likes to do. And if AI can help in that area, I think this is great news. It's great news because I think then it's easier for customer to get to the latest release to benefit from innovation. But it's also easier for IT then to support the company transformation, because Bernard, as you mentioned, then IT and business has more time to spend on redesigning the process, and redesigned processes, of course, provide much better value after an upgrade than just taking the SS project and moving them on a new release. Absolutely. So I think it's in a business AI context, it's fantastic news what you're telling.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. And maybe also a question to our audience. So if you have feedback, what you've seen, do you see this can also improvement for the environment where you are in? So let us know your comments and your feedback in the chat. We will answer your questions. Maybe one explanation what kind of technology we were using. I mean, the experts have seen that maybe in this small demo at the beginning. We're using Claude AI for that, and we've connected that to our LeapGrade model with a MCP server. This is integration technology, what we've used. And yeah, all three examples were done in that way. But we're just stretching at the surface. I mean, we should just explain what are the possibilities. There are far more possibilities. And maybe one topic in the moment where you are in that LeapGrade hub with your structure, all that technology is available, right? So it's more, how can you get in that structure? How can you bring your documentation in the LeapGrade hub? In the moment where you're in there, when you have your business process models, when you have your project documentation, then you can consume it. And the effort to get in there can also be supported already by agentic AI. So even transferring process model from the standard tools like Celonis, Adonis, Signavio, so accessing that with the BPML 2.0 standard, getting into LeapGrade, connecting it with the operational systems, that's something where we also use AI agents to improve that. Stefan, you mentioned, of course, the business process improvements, and that this is something I think also where you are focusing on with Value AI Institute. And I believe that's somehow before clients come to us and before they really start transformation projects. So I think it's very interesting. So when you save capacity now and you can spend more on process improvements because you don't need so much for your SAP transformations. So how does such a project at the beginning, how do you start such an engagement with the clients, and how do you come finally to the point where they decide for software or start a transformation program?
Absolutely. So with the Institute, we try to help customers to cross-check the current strategy and the AI strategy, and try to make the AI strategy bring it up to date, but also try to really condense it on the key use cases that can also already be implemented in the SAP solution or in other solutions that are required to support the new processes. And in the AI strategy, we try to focus on all the three areas that are relevant for improvement. So we look at current processes, how can they be made more efficient? And even so, efficiency, I think, should not be the main focus of the AI discussion, but there are definitely areas, and we just discussed documentation or training videos. I guess those are areas where users are very happy if AI can help there. But we try to mainly focus the AI discussion on where can AI help the company to make the business model more different and differentiated. That's a very key point of the discussion. Or where can AI even help to come up with new business models? So using the data asset, the current data and process assets to support new business models using AI. So our key mantra is AI that matters. So we try to use AI in a way so it provides value to the users at the company, so offloads them with tasks they really don't want to do, but try to provide value to the company to make the company more competitive. That's the key focus. And of course, in this process, we also use AI. So the times are over where you had months-long strategy sessions. So we're also using AI to help us with the benchmarking. So we collect the input from the business department still with design thinking. I think it's very important to be very, very engaging to the key stakeholders. But we use AI then to process the information, to use it for benchmarking. So try to do strategy benchmark, process benchmark, AI readiness benchmarking, and then of course also use AI to come up with recommendation on how to move the needle for the AI strategy for the customer. And of course, and that's where we have the ideal handshake. So I think we should be able to deliver very good input to the transformation program. So to make sure that the processes are not upgraded one-to-one with delivering little value, but actually that you get input on which processes need to be transformed. Where does the company want to build up new sites, new factories, new sales models to reflect the new business strategy. That's where we connect. What we also offer is actually AI upskilling for the leadership team, for the board, because of course that goes hand in hand. It's important for the AI strategy definition to also have the leadership team on the same level on AI skills. And I guess we'll speak later on also a little bit on skills, on future skills with AI. I guess that's also another important discussion topic. But let's first stay on transformation and AI-driven transformation.
Yes, and I think that sounds very efficient what you're doing. I mean, I had this comparison from doing a SAP transformation 20 years ago versus doing it now. Do you have also such a transformation? Because you are in the space of a strategy consultant, classically, and it sounds that you're also disrupting a little bit that model, right? With the usage of AI agent. Do you have also such a comparison where you say, is this more efficient compared to the traditional way?
Absolutely. So I would say minimum in that area, even higher efficiency rates with AI. I would say minimum 50%, because of course all the research and background work that took a long time before and a lot of resources now can be supported by AI. As we know, AI is fantastic within very short time across many domains that are required to do all the background research on what are the best practices, what are the ideas for new business model, what are the benchmark, how does a customer benchmark to other companies in that domain, of course, based on public information. AI does a fantastic job, acceleration top. And of course, it's a 80% solution you get, and then of course it's still expert judgment required to validate everything and complete, but a huge acceleration.
So basically, if we connect our two offerings, it's quite interesting because you can help a client somehow to define his future processes, AI-based, adopt the AI strategy. Once you are ready with that work, basically you can hand it over to LeapGrade, and at LeapGrade we can build up a software stack for that and validate through refinement cycles the whole architecture and come up with a system that's supporting all these business processes. So it should be a quite attractive offering, all the way from a first discussion, from envisioning, all the way to a up and running system in a much more efficient way. So if somebody's interested in that, and I'm just looking into the chat and I see there was a question exactly in that direction, a question from Andrew Ross, and he's asking, how does a company start such an AI-powered move to S4HANA versus the traditional method? Yeah, and I think that's a very good question, because from my perspective, I mean, our LeapGrade Hub That's key to be AI powered and consume the AI agents, what I've shown before. And what client needs to do is bring in content, their business process definitions, also the connection to their operational systems, SAP systems, BTP side-by-side extensions, but also non-SAP systems, so the complete end-to-end scenarios, and connect them to the business processes. We are doing that in the hub. We can consume data that's already available from the client, load the hub with that, and that's the starting point, basically. I mean, doing the implementations is fully agile. We start with an up and running system at day one. So the client gets a rough model from what we understand his target application architecture should look like. That is our starting point. And then we're in a fully agile mode, always working with an up and running system in refinement cycles. We document every finding in the refinements also in the hub. And through that, we have a very good transparency, an acceleration, a very good documentation as well, and this fundament for all these AI capabilities. And the effort for this foundation to load the hub and bring all the data into the hub is not so significant because we also use AI tools for that. So I would say a mid-sized company with various sources of information can be up and running in that mode, I would say within a couple of 6 to 8 weeks, depending how well structured and how much information is available. But within such a time period, you should be able to be up and running with a hub and then start such a transformation journey. And then, of course, ideally, if they have done an AI envisioning strategy with AI Value Institute up front, it's even better. Then, of course, we have all the target processes already on the latest status, and the client can start quicker. So we talked about skills as well, yeah. And you mentioned something very interesting at the beginning, Stefan. So you said, okay, this routine works nobody wants to do, but also client resources. Very often when we do projects, of course, the client is busy with day jobs, and I don't know, they are only 20% or 30% allocated to the project, and they have to do a day job in parallel. I mean, how do you see AI in that context? I mean, isn't it also that the client is freeing up these resources and gets more possibilities if we replace the routine works, that we get the skill set that we need for the projects all of a sudden available without putting a lot of stress on these users? How do you see that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think our institute just wrote an article about that, and maybe we can share this articles to the participants. So we wrote an article on what we called like the post-execution economy. So we were actually moving to a new economy or new skills, where before, I guess, a lot of the value from people and process owner came from the execution skills. And now with AI getting stronger in the execution skills, we of course need to have a discussion on what are the future skills and what are new key skill sets that employees need to build, but also students need to build. There was also a bit of discussion, and I guess it was also on the briefing on this LinkedIn session. What are new skills that we would advise students or our kids to build to be prepared for the what we call the post-execution economy. And because we started with Davos, there were also a lot of discussion, a lot of panels in Davos, Bernhard, as you know, on future skills. And I would say, what are the key relevant skills in the future? So I would say visioning skills are very important because, of course, you need to have a vision on what you ask AI to build, or what you ask the company, how you want to transform the company, how you want to transform the process. So that's AIs are tools, but you need to come with a vision. So vision skills are definitely important. But also architecting skills are very important. So of course, AI can support in building architectures, But the skill to verify those architectures, to augment those architectures, is of course a very important key skill. Then the other skill is on orchestration skills. So you know the saying that we may have been the last generation of managers who actually managed human team members. The new generation, so our kids, when they graduate university and they will become manager, probably they will be orchestrator of agents. And of course, this is not true. It will be a hybrid world. But the ability to think in end-to-end processes and design processes that can be partly run by agents and of course partly run by human, and to design the perfect interaction model is a key future skill. But also any change, like we discussed, transformation project, they happen in an environment where humans are involved. And of course, then change management is required. So communication skills, storytelling, change management skills are key to get full buy-in, but also to use all the ideas and all the capabilities that humans have to transform the company. These are key skills. But also governance skills, so to define the borders and also check the borders that what AI should do and should not do are key future skills. And then I could come up with a longer list, but maybe the last one, an important one, is judgment skills. So of course, the judgment of what is good, what is not good, what is wanted, what may be risky, are of course key skills. And I think if you look at the younger generation, I think they're much stronger in much more focus on storytelling, presentation skills, design thinking skills, which was a bit during our time a little bit of an odd skill that rarely students have built. But I see all the skills becoming mainstream, and of course this needs to be augmented now with orchestration skills of agents and other skills. But I think it would be an opportunity for schools and universities, of course, to maybe stronger work with model companies and use AI to train these new skills for students. And with these new skills would also help students to bridge this gap. Now there's a discussion that companies tend to hire less junior roles, but these are key skills. So if students were already involved in model companies, already have to build the skills to orchestrate processes with agents and design interfaces between human and agent processes, I think these are key skills. And if they master the skills, this doesn't make them junior resources. This makes them very valuable resources that could be used in projects and in business function very, very quickly, and adding a lot of value to the company.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, we also see that in S4 transformation projects. So it seems that human beings and AI agents are very complementary, right? So all the skills that you just mentioned are maybe the skills what AI agents might cover in the far future, but there's still a way to go. So we have to think complementary, that we say, okay, don't compete with AI on the routine task. So try to be complementary, and that's also something what we see in the SAP transformation space, that also the skill set of consultants is changing. I mean, we need far more people who can have a business discussion, have a very good understanding of client processes as well. And then this more technical task, development task, configuration task, this is definitely something where AI agents will fill in. And yeah, I can just agree what you said regarding future skill sets, and I think that's good guidance for maybe the younger generation who's listening today. What kind of classes they should attend in university, and what kind of profiles companies like Value AI Institute or Libre are looking for. So
maybe let's also ask the audience here for if there are any questions related to the future skills topic. Any different views or ideas of additional skills that we didn't list, or the future interaction between AI and humans?
It seems that we were pretty complete with our assessment. So what do you think is the speed of this change? How fast is it coming? I mean, I was surprised because I really saw progress the last weeks, I would say, and I see progress on a weekly basis. Even if I remember back during Christmas time, what has happened since today, and now it's just end of February, it seems that this is coming so rocket fast. And every day, it seems we come up with new scenarios. So how do you feel that pace of change? Is it still under control? Do we lose control? What is your view in that?
It's a good point. And actually, there was just a question, Bernard, if I can try to pick it up and address that. So the question was, what happens if managers don't hire young people? I guess interesting question. I think there's huge pressure on companies to get AI ready. AI readiness, in those readiness assessments, usually companies rank low. So one of the key imperative for the board and all the key management areas is to build AI skills, and hiring young talents that have those skills that we just discussed could very much upgrade AI readiness of the company and help company to use business AI and build AI skills, pilot agent solutions across key areas of the company. So I think, this hirings would dramatically support AI readiness of the company. And maybe this hasn't filtered down through all the levels if there's no hiring happened, but hiring the right people with the skills would very much help AI readiness of the company.
Absolutely. I mean, we see that with many companies who somehow lay off the older workforce and bring in young people. That might be a little bit in that direction as well, right? So people who maybe did that kind of work 20 years in the same way, and now many people hire young professionals as well, who maybe are not limited to what they've done in the past. How do you see that development? And you are also somebody who left SAP and who started the AI company right now. But I mean, you were able to make that. But how do you see that development? That especially companies like SAP reduce workforce or experienced workforce and replace it by unexperienced people. Do you think they go the right way there?
So also, if you speak about software development in general, so in the area of software development, there's huge opportunity for using AI and increasing productivity, as we know and as we experience right now. And of course, also this would change the skill requirements in development. Also, again, more to architecting roles, quality assurance roles, also governance roles, but of course also creativity and visionary roles, because somebody needs to ask AI what to build, AI's tools what to build. You need to have an idea of a great product. You need to have a vision on the solution that you want to ask AI to build. So it changes a lot. It changes a lot the requirements for software development, but also offload software development with routine tasks like maintaining old code that maybe is not so exciting anymore, or improving software quality, or improving documentation, or accelerating time to market for new features, which of course makes software development better and stronger. The other question you had was around how to stay updated, and I think some years ago already this notion was started that you need to integrating learning in your routine, and lifelong learning is a key thing. And of course, with AI, ever before. So this ability, but also discipline to, like, every week spend some time on building new skills, learning, trying to stay up to date, testing new AI skills, to give yourself, to build yourself a judgment on what new capabilities are possible, how these new capabilities can be integrated in your workflow, or to advise the customer to integrate them in your workflow. So this concept of lifelong learning, I would say, was always important, and is of course getting more important. And it's like smaller things. If it's smaller things, it's like, of course, podcasts, then small WhatsApp groups. I have a WhatsApp group where news are shared on AI, and then of course training, interactive training, experience training, but also testing yourself are need to be key elements of your weekly routine to be updated. But also, it's exciting times. I mean, for somebody who loves IT and who sees IT as a tool to drive company transformation, this is so exciting times. I mean, we experienced the shift to client server, to cloud, to e-commerce. And now, I mean, this change is of course much bigger, and of course has elements where we need to be very cautious and not to delegate too much authority, and also make sure that we have all the governance in place, but also many new exciting capabilities.
Great. I think this was a really nice final word from you. There was one question regarding what skills are needed for a center of excellence, for instance, and I think you answered that before, Stefan. I mean, everything what you explained with empathy and with governance and management skills. This is what you need. And so with that, I would like to thank you, Stefan, for spending time with me. This conversation today was great to follow up. I'm looking forward to really work on concrete customer projects together. I think that can be very exciting, and we can deliver something really valuable. I thank all our listeners for dialing in today. Stay tuned for more LeapGrade live sessions in the upcoming weeks. And I wish you all a great evening, safe homeward journey if you're still in the office. And looking forward to welcome you soon on LinkedIn Live. And thank you very much. Thanks, Stefan.
Have a nice day and a nice evening.